Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. And The View is back with live episodes in their new studio that they've been very excited about talking about. Um, yeah. um, I know they were in the Upper West Side for a long time. I think that was the second studio that they've been in. This is, I think, the third for the series run. And the building that they moved into is a new structure that the Walt Disney Company built. They tore down an entire city block of early 20th century buildings. Um, it's Varick. It's between Varick and Hudson, and at the corner of Spring Street. And um, a couple of those buildings were still really nice looking, in good shape. The ones that were facing Hudson had had a little bit of repair done to them. Their facades weren't exactly without imperfections, but and they knocked down City Winery, um, which the poor guys in there didn't own the buildings, and they just spent a couple $1 million renovating. It's a bar and a restaurant, a wine bar, and a music venue, and it was super funky and groovy, and so they spent a shit ton of money renovating, and then the landlord, against their sort of handshake deal that he wasn't going to sell, sold the building to Disney. Um, and then they moved up to 15th Street. They've got a brand new space, whatever. But the building that they built, uh, it's a couple of towers that don't connect to each other from one avenue to the other, except on the lower floors. And it's somebody at Disney has fallen in love with this weird dark green color. You saw it. It's what all the women are wearing in the new opening credits. Joy was wearing it today. It's sort of filtered in the lights in the new set, and the entire building, um, in the where they're now housed, is clad in this it's dark green. Um, it's just glass and steel and whatever they've clad the outside with, around all the windows. It's not an interesting looking building. I kind of just resent it for having taken all of those old buildings away, um, and just pushing more people into offices because you've spent all this money on a on an expensive building for people that don't need to be in offices. Anyway, that's my annoyance on that. And I don't really understand, that they had that little, it's like a little tower, like a second story kind of, you know, lounge. I don't really know what that's for. Like, who's gonna hang out up there? Like, it's not the green room. I don't. It's just that was. I mean, sure, it kind of looks great on TV, the staircase and whatever, and it was cool to have Whoopi be like, "Hey, here I am. Let's start the show." But uh, like, unless they're gonna be up there at the beginning of every show, then they're gonna come down the stairs. Like, what's it there for? I don't get it. Um, anyway, so they were doing a little catch up on what's happened since since they were last on the air, and they cover the addition of Tim Walzo. They barely even talked about him. They did talk a lot about the Orange Toddler, but it was all just so generic, um, and never really kind of went anywhere. They were just so enamored with talking about their new space that it just didn't seem to matter that much, what the hot topics were, um, which was bizarre. Uh, they did talk about the convention, and I think Amy Alyssa Farfar Griffin might just be really, really, really naive. Either that, or she's just playing this part because that's what her job is, which is to me entirely disingenuous and so slimy and like Tucker Carlson-y, and like, if you're just going to pretend that you're not going to vote for Kamala Harris because you think that that's what your job is, to sort of be the voice for the other people for the other side, I think that's really, really shitty, because she's talking about, Harris's policies, and what can she really grab onto, and the way that she was talking in the convention. She said it could be like a Mitt Romney speech, which is bullshit. But anyway, whatever you want to believe, Alyssa. And it's like, well, okay, if you feel like this version of Kamala Harris is so far centrist, which it isn't, it isn't. You just believe you're on the all the talking points from between 2020 and 2024. So, um, then why do you have such a hard time just getting on board and saying that's what you're voting for instead of being like, oh, I need to be catered to. I need more. I need more. You whined and whined and said they gotta get rid of Joe Biden, and then they did, and you're still complaining. Which is, I feel like, sort of a trait of the Republican Party in general. It's just a lot of complaining and not a lot of solving problems. Um, so I am hopeful for the actual voting process that the people will come out and vote. The electoral college scares the crap out of me, and voter intimidation scares the crap out of me. Um, uh, you know, Election fraud on the part of local Republican officials scares me because they've pushed that line so hard that it seems like it's okay for them to cheat. That really scares me. Usually, the local people are pretty take things pretty seriously. So, but I can see it. If you're in a hot red district, you just gotta throw some votes away. And in states like um, you know Pennsylvania and even Florida and in Wisconsin and Michigan, that when those few votes from those really red areas make a difference. They add up. So anyway, that's my biggest concern is that he's so convinced that he's going to be able to cheat his way into the White House, which is why he hasn't really been campaigning hard, which is why he picked JD Vance, which is why he doesn't really care um, what he's doing. But the one thing, and the whole thing about the Arlington National Cemetery, like I feel like that they should be pressing charges against him. There should be consequence for what he did, because it's very clear what he did was incorrect. And then JD Vance is so stupid. He's like, "Oh, the other side's making it look like we, went to a gravesite and filmed the commercial." That's what you did. Um, and there was also a great clip of him. I don't know where he was going. He was walking up to the sort of the side of the plane, and there was a woman already there. She seemed like she may be some sort of union leader. I don't know what. I don't know who she was or what they were doing there. But he goes to shake her hand, and she puts out a fist bump, and he just sort of like, and then her hand is gone, and then he fist bumps the air, and then she goes, "So it's your first time here?" And he goes, "Yep, first time." And she goes, "Okay." Then she turns to the reporters and she goes, "Okay, what do we got to do here?" He just sort of wanders away. It's like, you're not important. No one cares, JD. Um, but uh, what they didn't discuss, and I get it that they already pre-planned that they're going to talk about all these things that went on while they were away. But Trump was just on. Was it Fox? It was a broadcast interview that where he said, "I don't get it. I get indicted, and I win more voters. I interfered with the last election, which I'm allowed to do." That's admitting guilt. Like, he just admitted he interfered with the election and thinks he's allowed to do that because he was president. So I'm sure he thinks he gets to do it again, even though he's not the president. Um, but like, and I know, Jack Smith isn't going to show his hand and tweet out like, "Well, we got him," but like, can't we ground his plane? Like he shouldn't. There's four more indictments against him for trying to steal the election. He just admitted on television he tried to steal the election. I feel like that should be a bigger story. Um, but anyway, then whether or not Kamala Harris at one time wanted to ban fracking or not. Anyway, um, I've already talked about how frustrating I find the mainstream media, but if this is as hard hitting as the View is going to get, from now until the end of the election cycle. Um, I gotta say, it's pretty sad. Uh, not really, not really hitting the highlights yet, ladies. But it's your first day back after vacation. I'll give you a pass for today.